Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Lee and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomenon, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Lee and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Heather. I am here tonight alone. Tiffany is not feeling good. She is under the weather, but she will be joining us next week when we have special guest Sin Schrader Hill on the show to join us and talk about her upcoming books. But tonight we do have an amazing panel of guests, and I'm not even going to attempt to describe what they're here to talk about. I'm going to bring them on and let them do that themselves. Welcome, Henry, Patrick, and Ron. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. So tonight is a special, going to be a little bit different than some of our other shows because I believe you are on, one of you is on location at the place that we're going to be talking about. So Henry, real quick, as the owner of this location, can you just kind of describe who you are, what it is, and then before we actually go into the show, I'd like to have Ron and Patrick also talk about who they are.
Okay, well, I'm known as Henry Lee in the paranormal world. My actual name is Lee Henry, but everyone calls me Henry these days. That was my father's name. I most certainly don't mind being called Henry or Lee. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Back in 2014, my family and I were involved in a propane explosion. The children, thank goodness, our 4 children in our house were not hurt, but my wife and I were seriously hurt. Spent some time in Mercy Hospital in St. Louis. Had a lot of unexplained phenomenons happening at the hospital from our near-death experience. Flashed to 7 years, and this is now the year would be 2021. Long after the healing had happened, and many conversations with my wife about the things we had seen and experienced at the hospital, and the time leading after it. We seen a ad on Facebook that said haunted jail for sale in Trenton, Florida. And I said to my wife, hey, look at this. They're saying it's haunted. Shall we ascertain that fact? And I'll call the realtor. And normally I'm a procrastinator. I'm a procrastinator at times. Didn't procrastinate on this. Called the realtor that day. Set up an appointment to go see the jail. We were living in Sarasota at the time, and Trenton is about 2.5 hours from Sarasota. So we drove up there, met the realtor on a particular rainy March day. Very gloomy, raining. In the rain, my wife and I stopped at the front door and we introduced ourselves to the jail, and it's, at the time, supposed haunting and spirits. Introduced ourselves, said the Lord's Prayer, and said, hey, look, we're thinking about becoming the caretakers of this jail. We'd like to come in, check it out, and see if this is something we'd like to purchase. Well, little did we know it, but there was a lot of people that were interested in this jail. This location at this point had been in the care of Arlene Hale. She had had the place for 20 years, was very selective on who she brought in, almost to the point of, looking back, I thought she was, I don't want to say prejudice about who she let in, but she was very selective. But just from us respecting her spirits the way we did, we weren't the largest bid that came in because it turned into kind of a bidding war. Just from those actions, she decided that we were the right people for the job, for the purchasing of the jail. At first, I kind of took the place for granted. I kind of thought Arlene was just being overly eccentric about who should come in and who shouldn't come in, and thought all my spirits, and I say mine now, 'cause I've been a caretaker for over 5 years. I thought they were all Casper the Friendly Ghost, and really didn't have a clue of what I was doing. I really didn't. So I had paranormal experiences, but I was never a paranormal investigator, and I've always kept that very honest in my endeavors with the jail. Yes, I've been to a lot of places. 5 years now I've been doing it. Got a crash course in paranormal investigating with some of, in my opinion, some of the best paranormal investigators in Florida and around the country, and believe it or not, around the world. We've actually had teams come in from the UK. We've had teams come in from Spain. We've had teams come in from Australia and all over the country. And I got to ask them questions. I was always very forward on, hey, I'm a newbie. Explain this spirit box to me. And it reminds me of a story. I had Patty Adams of the G Team come in, pretty popular back in their time. She pulled out a spirit box, and as I watched the shows before we had the jail, I always thought the spirit box was such a nuisance, a loud, unproductive tool. And I remember distinctly that night, Patty goes, she's seen me scoff, and that'll come in later. I learned not to scoff at things. He's like, okay. And she's really good at what she does, and the spirit box is one of her favorite. In cell 4, which is upstairs, it's our biggest cell. She started doing her thing with the spirit box, and the things that came out of that box, about calling my name, the spirits were interjecting that they were really pleased with what I was doing with the jail. I was working and putting in lots of time to start the renovations or the work, the inner workings of it, because I always felt that its history far outweighed the spiritual energy that goes on in there. Mm-hmm. Which over the past 5 years, I'm proud to say that it was not recognized in Florida or the National Archives, but I took the time. It took about 2 years. Got it recognized historically here in Florida, and then with the help of Tallahassee, was able to get it recognized in the National Archives, which I worked on a lot of historical buildings, being in the masonry trade most of my life. I'd have to say this is right up on the top of things that I'm accomplishing in my lifetime that means so much to the small town of Trenton's history. Mm-hmm. The resident spirits, like I said, I'm getting a very close and personal relationship with them, which will lead me to Patrick. Patrick Cordasco was a deputy there in Gilchrist County, and when Arlene had the place, and they would be getting calls about lights to be coming on in a building that had no lights, noise complaints. So Patrick got to know the jail from going and, hey, Miss Arlene, you need to open up the jail. Someone hears somebody crying out. banging like someone's breaking in. And at this point, I'll let Patrick talk about Patrick now.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Name's Pat Cordasco. I'm affiliated with the jail for about 25 years now. I was a deputy in this county, and like Henry was saying, how I met Arlene was through numerous, call complaints about, flashlights or lights inside the jail, noises, people coming in and out, apparitions, so forth. And every time we would arrive and we contact the key holder, she'd say, "No, I'm not driving out there. Everything's fine. It's just what it is." And when I first met her, she had a Halloween get together. She was opened the jail up for Halloween and had people that did tours and stuff. So another deputy and I came out here because we saw a large crowd. We were invited to come in and do a walkabout, and we did. And, it was really interesting, some of the things that was going on, the history of the jail, how old it was, the aesthetics of the jail, And then she invited me, like, "Hey, if you ever want to come out and, just check it out and so forth, you're more than welcome to." She gave me her contact information. So I did that for a little bit. Sorry. Not. Ron, do you have a piece of paper and a pencil?
I do.
Can you write these times down and check the cameras or for audio, please? We have 9:04, 9:05, and 9:10. Because as Henry was talking, there was an audible upstairs. I heard it. Then I heard a large bang, like something was like a chair was slid or moved upstairs. And then something in the back hallway where the bathroom is. And I was telling Henry, as soon as we clean that bathroom out, I bet you we're going to start getting some audible crap coming out of that bathroom. And that's what we call it. I heard that. So I don't know if the camera can pick up the bathroom downstairs in the
Probably
intake area.
not.
But the stuff I heard was upstairs and downstairs, cell 3. So
let me stop you there for a moment, Patrick. And let's let Ron take over for a moment and explain what kind of camera system we have there. This way the audience, we'll come back to you, obviously.
No, I'm just going to go walk about. So,
why don't you explain the technological advances that we have at the jail for not only our investigators, but for our subscribers?
Yeah, every cell is equipped the same way with a high-end Mobotics camera, dual lens. One of them is thermal, one of them is optical lens. And the third module is an audio module in the camera. And we have a separate infrared illuminator to illuminate the cells so they look like bright daylight when it's completely dark within those cameras. And
there's one of the cameras right now.
Yeah, there's a camera with the infrared illuminator underneath it.
Patrick, can you get a little closer to the camera? That one camera there in cell 3. Let's get a really good zoom up on it. This is the technology that Ron is speaking of for Mobotics.
Yeah. The just to give you an idea, the thermal sensor in this camera, I had to get special permission for the German manufacturer to release it and let it come in the U.S. And I had to sign a paper that said I wasn't with the military in order to accept this product. So we're talking very high tech at the time, about as good as it gets. You know? So we've been working for about 3 years on how do we take these cameras and stream it to a website so that we can offer virtual ghost hunting 24 hours a day. And the project has gone way beyond what I expected. So it's a jail, and we're going to be streaming at the jail very shortly because we're very close to our a production version of the software. But what it has done is, forget the paranormal for a moment. We've developed a completely automated, unattended streaming system that is duplicatable, portable. It doesn't have to be for a jail. The system we have could use different cameras, PTZs or other types of cameras, and do musical events, stream at bars, at festivals. Lee's got his event every year. Well, I'm hoping that we can't do it this year, but I'm hoping next year's event we'll have a portable streaming kit out there at the train station to record and stream all the activities to the world. So it's really, we're about 95% to the point where this thing is canned, ready to go. So it's exciting that the subscribers will be able to see the cameras 24 hours a day, each cell, 10 cells plus a gathering room will be 11 cameras. And they'll see the investigations as they're happening. If they can't make an investigation and they're a subscriber, there'll be a video on demand so they can go back and watch the investigation if they want. We intend to have a chat room on the site, so if you go on the site, you're not a subscriber, you can still chat. You just can't see the cameras, but that way the subscribers or visitors can chat with each other during an investigation or what have you. And Lee is going to have some live broadcast himself, when he's talking about paranormal on it. And we're still thinking of things we can add to it to make it as valuable as possible. And so the subscribers get a lot for their money.
Right. Yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing. Especially, I didn't even realize that you guys were making it portable, and that's going to be even much more amazing because.
Basically, it's an appliance. We're making a streaming appliance, so you can. It can be portable, can be moved around. It can also be installed permanently in a facility that wants to do streaming all the time. There's a number of options. Obviously, the paranormal vertical is our first vertical because that's what got us in the business. Right. But we expect to have maybe versions for entertainment venues, for festivals, whatever. Whoever needs it. Churches, they do a lot of streaming. We'd have a solution for them too. But I'll say, Lee, it's a good thing you didn't procrastinate that first time in your life that you didn't, because you would have known the jail. We wouldn't be talking today. There are a lot of people wanted that jail.
And that's what we were talking about before the show started. The system is, and I really like the beginning of your show, by the way, kind of really fits into what we're talking about. This will be just something so cutting edge that people, they know when they're watching this system that they're seeing in real time, nothing edited, nothing set up. But with that said, Patrick, we want to go back to you now, per se?
I'll say one more thing, though, when it comes to paranormal. I'm the newbie. I did not really believe in it much until I got involved with the jail, and now I got to say I'm a believer. You can't escape it.
Right. There's always that one experience that makes you that believer.
Right. I'm a camera guy, but before I ever got back with Lee, when Lee got back to Florida, way before that, one of my customers is senior housing, and people die in those buildings, right? And there were many reports of knocks on a door in the middle of the night, and we'd check the cameras, or the manager would check the cameras and not see anything. But one particular time, she checked the camera, she saw the resident open the door thinking there was somebody there, and there was a green cloud, looked like a cloud of smoke that came out of the door when she opened it, went right up into the ceiling. And I wasn't thinking paranormal. I thought the manager was asking me, why did we see that? And I said, well, it was probably interference from the fluorescent lights, or I'm trying to justify from a technical standpoint. And she says, well, you can say that if you want, but I don't think that's what that was. That's when I realized what she was talking about.
Right.
And it was quite an experience, but not enough to make me a full believer. The jail did that.
Okay.
Old Gilchrist County Jail did that.
And one real quick question about the cameras before we get going. One of our followers, he's a regular on our show, comes and visits us every week. Hello, Anton, for joining us. He wants to know, how about the addition of environmental feedback to run as a substream?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Excuse me. So like different environmental factors such as the humidity in the room.
I got you.
Or anything like that. Yep.
Yeah, well, some of that, the temperature and so forth, is already on the image. It's already on the thermal image. It says the temperature in like every 100th of a second or whatever it changes. I could put other things on there. I could put humidity, whatever the cameras support, and they can support a lot. There's Patrick showing a TV in the gathering room there now with the 10 different cameras we have now. We'll be adding one in the gathering room too. There'll be 11.
And are you guys only going to have them inside, or are you going to have any outside the jail?
Right now they're inside, but I had talked to Lee about we may want to consider one in the car or some. We have regular security cameras outside, and they can eventually be brought into this since we're making a bona fide streaming system that can be camera agnostic. So the security cameras we have outside could be brought in. There's no thermal, but at least the optical lens could be brought in. That takes a little bit of engineering at the jail, but I think we may want to do that at some time.
Yep. Okay. Perfect.
At least some of them.
Yep. Okay. So Patrick, we're back to you.
Scare us, Patrick.
Yeah.
Still here.
I'm assuming by now, everybody watching, you've kind of either concluded or assumed that Patrick is actually at the jail right now. We've never had someone at a haunted location on our show live, so this is kind of exciting. So hopefully, you guys are a first. One thing, you're there quite a bit. I would like you to take us to the room that you feel has the most activity.
All righty then. Okay. Here we go. Trust me, I'm not a big fan of these guys. They don't send me birthday cards or anything. So, there are some prominent spirits within the facility here. One's more dominating than the other. So we'll go back in his cell. And here we go. Okay. Hello, Robert. You're live on camera. This is Robert's cell. Now, Robert is the most dominant spirit that we have inside the jail. And when he gets tired of people, he kind of makes his point across. Now, he will communicate. He will. Hang on. Sit down.
That's the feeling you get when you go upstairs in that jail. It's very heavy. It feels so much different than the downstairs. That he's not being a drama queen right now. Everyone that goes in that jail will tell you when you get upstairs, it's a certain kind of heaviness up there.
And it is. And in Robert's particular cell, he favors females with blonde hair. He's not really. He'll interact with males, but if you come in with this macho attitude, or you want to prove yourself to him, be careful with which one. Because he will give you that fight or flight feeling. And I've been to locations, not like Henry and some other investigators, as a practitioner of 40 5+ years. You know, I go to residents, I go places, I help people. We'll just leave it at that, you know. And I've seen scary, I've seen demonic, and I've seen, you know, Stephen King TV shit, my French. It's not here to shit, but the fight or flight feeling is absolutely here. You know,
little background on it. Robert is the trustee, more or less the man in charge at that jail. Nothing goes on here without him.
He's not restricted to just his cell. He has free reign. He can do his walkabouts, go downstairs. We've had investigators pick him up over at the train station, which is maybe 100 yards or so from here.
Yes.
Now this is Frank's cell. Frank is in cell 5. Frank gives people an overwhelming feeling of I want to say loss, like they're lost. We've had people freeze in this cell. We've had people like investigative teams come out. They'll come in the cell. They'll stand at the window against the wall as they're looking outside, and there's somebody else at that time. They'll talk about how green the grass is, the trees. You know, it's a nice sunny day. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. So we kind of ask them to step on out and get themselves grounded, go outside, kind of isolate yourself. So, you know, I've seen people freeze in mid-movement down this hallway. I've seen guys sit there on camera, stand in this hallway here, and like they're having a conversation with somebody. And then you take them outside, kind of isolate them. All they remember is being upstairs, hearing their voice, turning around, and then remember how'd I get outside? So they lose time. That's happened on a few occasions. Not all the time, but a few occasions.
I've seen it myself too. With Patrick talking about it's like a glitch in the matrix. Well, I see one guy in mid-step with 1 foot up, kind of, and just get stuck like that for about 30 seconds, and I get extremely emotional and start crying and come out of it. It's a very, very active place. Like I said, now 5 years in, I have a different opinion of what goes on in there, and I tread lightly when I'm in there. I let people know that, hey, this is what you need to look out for. Robert, you want to treat the spirits. And that's what I preach the most on to any investigator that comes in. If you go in there, like Patrick was saying, with a macho attitude, forceful, demanding to show yourself and all this, Robert will put you in your place very quickly. And to reiterate on something else Patrick said, he does prefer blondes, but when he does touch women and he touches women, it's never inappropriately, which I don't want to sound like a male chauvinist pig or anything, but you would think if you had the ability to do that, you would be touching. The only place he really touches the hair, shoulders, arm. Doesn't ever do anything inappropriate, which, like I said, I don't want to sound like a dirty old man, but I kind of respect that in a sense. Maybe it's he's from a different time period, which he is. But I always that's very intriguing to me. The amount of respect on that end from an entity that could pretty much do whatever they wanted to do. With that said, I've seen the men with that egotistical, you're going to show yourself and this and that, and leave the place crying. I've seen skeptics come in there. Like we're affiliated with, I don't know if you've ever watched the show Naked Afraid on Discovery Channel.
Yep.
we have a lot of the survivalists coming there. One story that sticks out in my head is Trey Heineke, the one that said, "I'll show the devil who's boss." He's fast become a friend of ours. He had an experience with his deceased fiance. Now, not that she dwells at the jail, but now I hypothesize on this. He got emotional. We had a medium there. She was telling him things that she didn't know him from Adam. There's no way she could have got some of this information from the internet or by any trickery or anything like that. Knew things about Izzy, where he started crying. It was a very emotional thing. And it's led me to hypothesize that it's not always the haunting at the place you visit. It's you go to these places, you have the tools out, you have a medium there, and your attachment, what you bring with you, has the opportunity to present themselves to you. So I think some paranormal investigators really don't take that in consideration, that some of the energy they're getting, they brought in there themselves, but now they have an opportunity to come out and show themselves, which is very intriguing, I think. Didn't really think of it on that early in. I'm there to see the resident spirits like we're talking about now at the jail. But it just fascinates me that when you do these investigations and you go to these special places, that you never know what you're going to come up with.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I love the fact that he's respectful to women, only because we investigated in Vegas a long time ago. And we were at a famous mob hangout, and it just goes to show the eras are different. And something forcefully grabbed my butt, and you can hear me on the digital voice recorder yell, "Who grabbed my butt?" And then we get a he, me right afterwards. So I love that your spirit's very respectful.
Well, it's funny because Henry was given a tour. It was a husband and wife. They came, I think it was the wife's first time. He's done some investigating at one time. So we were downstairs, and as he's given the introduction and giving the tour, I was following up behind the group, like I normally do. And the lady was standing in front of me, and she was wearing like these shorts that have a skirt, like a skirt short combo. And her skirt lifted up a little bit and went down. She turned around and looked at me, and I was like, "What me?" So the footage was found, and Henry showed the couple the footage that Ron was able to get off the camera, and you could literally see her skirt go up and down, and her personality and attitude for the rest of the night was totally different. But we do Halloween tours. Some people get touched, some people feel overwhelmed. We've had a couple women that they felt touched on the side, maybe their back or arm, back of their neck. And I remember a husband of this particular group, he was very aggressive. He's like, "Hey, you don't touch my wife. You can't touch my wife, because if you were alive right now," he goes, "I'd whip your ass." Excuse my French. I don't know if I can say that or not. You can't anything.
We've heard worse on our show. Trust me, you're good. We're okay. After 9 o'clock at night Eastern.
Okay. So when they left the jail, he was complaining about his back hurt, really bad. He lived in his shirt. The lady got a hold of me. I was here that night. And she goes, I think something, and you could see where he was literally I don't want to say scratched, but he was marked between his lower back and his belt line. And you can actually see the redness and the swelling. It's almost so he played that. Hey, you threaten someone that's dead, okay, who has the ability to manipulate energy and atmosphere in his realm, and you got touched, And he was the man was upset. He was really, I'm like, "Geez, there's nothing you can do. It's not like you can go back in there and find out who did it." But she thought it was cool. I mean, she goes, "That was really good." He was upset. She was kind of thrilled,
I've been touched at the jail before. I was doing I don't know if you're familiar with the Delco experiment with the flashing goggles. It's Estes, more or less, amplified. Was with Patrick and my wife at the top of the stairs. Was going through the motions, and I had blurted out, unbeknownst to Patrick and my wife, I said, something touched my foot. Now, they were thinking I was repeating something from the spirit box. But then it was, again, and when I say something touched my foot, I don't mean something touched my sneaker that I was wearing. I mean something touched my bare skin. Mm-hmm. Pulled the Estes goggles off and everything else. Pulled my shoe off to see if there was something inside my shoe. I'll be the first to admit, now this is not something that happens to me often, but the feeling that I got on the skin beneath my shoe was so eerie. Just felt so unworldly, and it's, like I said, I've only been doing this about 5 years. It really put me back. So I can see why that gentleman had a hard time processing the touch thing that can happen. That's why I stress to anyone that's watching your show, don't mimic Hollywood. Don't go in there and give spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, apparitions. Don't give them the business. Give them the respect that I'm giving you right now, and we're respecting each other. Respect them like the living, because like Patrick was saying, I still don't know what a spirit is capable of. Their energy being, can they shut my heart off? Can they cause me to have a stroke? These are not entities you want to play with in an unfavorable manner. It's something you want to handle very respectfully. And also, like Patrick was saying, if you get to a point where you're dazing out, you're feeling overwhelmed, it's best to take a break, walk out of the building, not just to a different part of the building. Go outside, smoke them if you got them, get a drink, take a deep breath, get regrounded before you go back in there. But that's, if I could express one thing, and it seems like a great show to do it on for people looking for education, moving forward in their paranormal journey, go with the utmost respect, because you never know what you're going to come across, especially if you're going to start going to many places like I have.
Yep, exactly.
You start seeing things and feeling things, and these things, if you keep them in mind, will keep you safe versus some of these YouTubers you see that are totally off the chain, to where I wonder how they're not hurt more often. Because they're dealing with something they know not of.
Right.
And the best thing you could do is be respectful, be yourself, bring that positive energy. Because I've noticed when you go with a positive attitude, you're going to get positive kind of experiences. Yep. Versus if you go in there with a cold soul, mean, aggressive, you get what you put in. So these are things that I've learned and I'm learning, that baiting or antagonizing spirits is not a very smart thing to do for views, for fame, for fortune. Trust me, there's no fame and there's no fortune in what we're doing. It's like the near-death experience I was explaining. These are questions I want answered, and I'm sharing my experience with Patrick and Ron's help. I want to share my experiences and my journey, because I'm not being influenced by Hollywood. I'm not being influenced by YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't do TikTok. When I do an investigation, it's all live, kind of like Cass is going to be. This is so people know that what I'm experiencing, some veteran paranormal investigators might say, well, look at this numbskull, but I think my transparency in doing it that way, that's what people come away, take from it when they watch me doing an investigation, to where he's doing it from his heart, not from anywhere but his heart. And he's wanting he's very intrigued by this.
Yep.
So
yeah, and that's the whole reason why we do this show. It's not to tell people how to paranormal investigate or how to do research, but to share. I mean, I have over 30 years experience. My co-host has about 10. And we bring other people on the show that has varying levels of experience. So that way they can share, what they've learned in whether the short period of time or long period of time, to give people to think with an open mind on how it should be done and how, every investigation is different. And of course, you never want to antagonize on every investigation, but there are some investigations, like we've had one where I actually had to stand up to the spirit that was attacking us. And I yelled at it like it was a 3-year-old child. I'm like, we don't do that. We don't treat people like that. We're not treating you that way. You need to stop. And
we had that happen here.
That's important to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Just like in a new relationship with, say, someone, before you were married or whatever your status is right now, early in you set boundaries that this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. Let's keep in mind that and I'll use their names because they're not here to defend themselves one way or the other, but the Warrens really I love what they did. They were pioneers, but back in that mind frame, everything was demonic.
Yep.
To where, it's not demonic. It mostly, I'm not saying there isn't evil out there, but most of the spirits, as paranormal investigators are going to deal with, are just us, that our energy form.
Yep.
And that they're going to respond or not respond to that. But yeah, setting boundaries and saying, no, you can't come home with me. No, you can't touch me. No, you're not going to speak to me that way. And like you were saying, these are things that any paranormal investigator should have in their toolbox. Should conduct themselves in a way. Don't be influenced by Hollywood. Don't expect to see these things that you see on different shows because of the editing and everything else. Go about it the way you'd want to be treated, and chances are you're going to get more activity and more proof and verification by treating them, because that's what they crave. That's why they're still here. That's why they're interested in paranormal investigators. They're missing that flesh body. They're missing the correspondence with other. So, by going about it in a certain way, you're going to get a lot more than antagonizing or making somebody mad, because you're never going to get a true variance on a person if you're going to piss them off. So you're going to get more with sugar than poop. So
exactly. Yeah. And Patrick, you were saying there was an experience like that at the jail?
Oh yeah, we had a team. I don't know that Henry knows a lot of teams. I just know them by faces and names. I don't know the teams, but not to be like I had lobotomy or anything. But his name was Joe. He was from Miami, and he came up here. He had his sister and 3 other individuals from the University of Florida. They came to the jail to do an investigation. Now I've met Joe, and he's a nice guy, great guy. We did lights out. They want to do lights out. I'm like, okay. So they all went upstairs. They're doing their thing. They had the night vision. He had a lot of other type. I'm old school. I don't know much about equipment, because I like to go in there and just feel everything. And, I may have a K2 or something, but other than that, I like to experience it on a physical aspect. And he called me up. He said, Patrick, can you come upstairs? And I said, sure. So I was coming upstairs, and I'm like, what? And he goes, do you hear that? And you could literally hear whispering, like people were like whispering, like inmates would do back in the day between cells. They would like whisper and so forth. Then this very audible whistle came down the hallway. It was just, you could actually feel the energy coming down the hallway. It was a whistle, very loud whistle. And everybody was kind of a little freaked out. Of course, Joe's like, great. That was a great catch, man. I got it on audio. I got everything going. I got my night vision, got my infrared, got all my gadgets going. And the girl screams, and when she screamed, Joe showed me on his camera, I don't know if it's a particular camera, well, you can actually see our shadow figure, which we have in the jail, dipped his head like around the end of the corner and was like, just like this. and he wasn't moving. The head was like right there. You could see the shoulders and the whole 9 yards. And so one of the girls go, "Hello." Like, hi. Can you tell us your name? But the energy of that shadow was starting to manifest, was getting larger, and you can actually see it coming down the hallway. So they started to panic, and they were trying to get themselves down the stairs. I put myself between the shadow figure and them, and I've only happened to have this done twice, and that's where, like, I was rushed. The shadow kind of like rushed me. I just put my hands back, and being a cop, and I did some time as a correctional officer, I put my hand out there. I said, "You need to back the fuck up right now and get back to where you came from." I said, "This is bullshit. You don't do this." You know? And you could see it. And even Joe said he could see it like going back towards the shower into the cell area, and it just stayed there. And he's like, "Well, let's all go downstairs." That was something. And the kid, I got to give the kids credit, because it was the first time they ever did an investigation. And they were very, like, surprised, very, like, "Oh my God, I want that to happen again." I was like, I think once is enough for right now. Okay.
Who he speaks of is Joe Torino.
Yes.
He's affiliated with 305 Paranormal out of Miami, which they were up another, for instance. I don't know if you've heard of Kiki from Univision. She's out of Cuba. She has a show down there. And they came into the jail and were doing an investigation. Again, I'll go into yeah, right. I had never seen anything actually fly across the room before. Well, we were drinking little espresso shots, cafe, whatever, the little Cuban coffee. Jenny and Armando said, "Hey, save the cup." And we have this mannequin of a police officer in there. I set my cup up on his shoulder each time after we drank a little. And, a couple hours goes by. I kept putting my cup there. Kiki's, her husband, is filming away. And all of a sudden, that cup doesn't fall off the mannequin's shoulder. It's like someone went and flicked it across the room. Now, I look at Joe. The husband now is like this with the camera, shaking. I says to Joe and Armando, I'm like, "I thought you said these guys go to places that are paranormally active." And Armando looks at me, he goes, "Yeah, not like this place, though." Like I said, I hope you run into or talk to someone, a team that has been to the jail, and they have no reason to embellish any of the stories. I tend to not speak about a lot of the stories in the jail, because what am I going to say? There's nothing to, of course I'm going to bring the best stories out. Right. But the affirmation I really love is when Joe P's like 305 Paranormal, 727 Paranormal with David Alcorn. When he first came to the jail with Citrus Paranormal, he kind of pulled me aside after a couple of investigations, and he goes, "I really don't get too much from this jail." And I, in a joshing kind of way, said, "You hear that, spirits? Dave doesn't think you're here." It seemed like that night, and there's several investigations since, and that speaks volumes when they keep coming back, that ever since that night, the veil kind of opened up for him. Like he was being too overcritical, wanting it too bad. And when he finally kind of announced that, and the spirits heard that. So one particular evening, I was doing this thing with the 10 of diamonds, which I display at the jail now, asking the spirit box, "Spirits, can you tell me what card this is?" Well, Dave and I did this a couple times on his several investigations. And one particular day, now it's become like a game. "Oh, Dave, let me go get that card," which I have in a little box now with that cup that flew across, because I'm one of those guys that says everything if it has some kind of meaning. So I say, "What is this card?" And immediately out of the spirit box, it goes 10 diamonds. And we both looked at each other like, and then one particular afternoon, Patrick and I were at the jail. We got a heater on. It's still cold. It's early this spring, late winter. We heard a bang from upstairs, kind of like a metallic bang. And we were at the bottom of the stairs, and we both stopped and kind of looked up the stairs. And with our own ears, it's called an audible, I believe, would be the right term for it. We heard, oh. And I don't hear that often. We have a mimic there, and I've heard my whistle before. But those are far and few between. Like I said, when I scoff, I tend not to scoff anymore, because every time I scoff at something, it happens. Now, with Patrick's experience and my experience with the jail, 4+ years at that point, I looked at him and we knew better to run upstairs because there would have been nothing upstairs. But I looked at him and said, man, that's like some Steven Spielberg stuff right there, buddy. That's straight out of Hollywood, but we heard it with our own ears.
Yeah, it's very unearthly.
Very, yes. When people say it sounded like it came from another dimension or unearthly, or
exactly.
Like I said, I scoff less at things with the more experience I'm getting with paranormal investigating. That was something that still it sticks with me. I'm getting the chills talking about it because it was just he and I at the jail. There was no investigating going on. We're just two guys warming up by a heater that had an experience that I don't want to say I can't explain it, because I can explain it. It was like
Ron was on his way to the jail too. Because I said to you, I said, wow, I wish Ron was here, like at home where he could like bring up the camera and try to bring up the audio, but Ron was on his way to the jail that day.
He was.
So it was, pointless. So,
but we're getting more and more EVPs at night from the system, because now I think it was dicey. There was a lot of holdbacks, like poor internet that was making the system go on thumbnail mode, I believe it's called. It would just flash pictures. But now that we've stepped it up, we got fiber net, and there's very little that goes on now that we can't pull up. And the thing that's impressing Ron the most, because this is a funny story too, about 6 months ago, we got the audio working good, and a couple of nights passed by, and Ron calls me up one morning. He played back a couple things for me, and he goes, what am I hearing? And I'm like, those are EVPs. That recording system that's on those cameras is so high tech as well. It's picking up every little EVP. And Ron goes, that place really is haunted, isn't it? I'm like, well, Ron, we wouldn't be doing all this if it wasn't. So, like I said, we're so close to where nothing is going to escape Casper's technology now that we're got all the components in place, and that's why we haven't released this system until we're probably going to be releasing it in the next month or two. Definitely by October when we have the grand opening. This is something people can actually know what they're seeing is 100% real.
Right.
Yeah, we're trying to do it, to take our time and put out something that's right. Rather than put out something before it's ready, it won't work. So that's where we're 95% to a production value, production version that is
and I'm excited. Like you're saying, there's different levels of experience, and the people that are just at home, say maybe can't afford to come to the jail, our paranormal investigators can actually see the different levels of maturity per se or experience, see the different attitudes, hear the different questions, see them using the tools they see on TV in a more intimate setting. I know the building doesn't change, like Ron was saying about the mobile capabilities of the system. When I go to Alcatraz or I go to Tombstone, we're going to be offering that out to our subscribers as well. Of course, live. All of our stuff is always live. It's never edited. It's never put out there as a YouTube bite or this or that. This is us trying to share an experience at its rawest form.
Yep. I love that. When you guys are ready to launch it, let us know, and we'll make sure we share that information out to get our followers to. Because I know a lot of people are going to want to know information on that.
Yep.
And you must forgive me. I talk obviously with a lot of people. The best way you, your followers, can get this information is follow the historical Gilchrist County Jail Facebook page.
Okay.
That's the only platform I use. I do my lives off of Facebook as of right now until we get the Casper up and running fully. But this is the way. Because I transparent, I do this old jail segments, show the progression of the restoration, which is getting ready to get finished up. Pulled our last couple of permits. We're waiting on the approval of the permits. Then the electrician and the plumber comes in, and then we'll be fully operational at that point with a business license, insurance. We're taking this museum very seriously, like Maystringer. Probably never is. Wonderful as Maystringer with all their artifacts, but it's a work in progress.
Right.
But I feel what we're offering is so cutting edge, and not to toot my own horn, but to have someone with my limited amount of paranormal investigating, though I do a lot at the jail and other places, you kind of get to walk through my journey, seeing my mistakes, seeing my triumphs, seeing different locations from the live perspective without all the trickery, without all the editing. I feel this is something that is sorely missing from what you're seeing on mainstream TV right now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And we did have one quick question about the cameras, if we don't mind jumping back to that real quick.
Okay.
Cameras are high bandwidth. What would the latency be like?
Very low latency. We have 2 gig pipeline coming out of the jail, 2 gig fiber. So, we're cooking with gas there.
This is why we have Ron on these shows, because if they would ask me that, I'd been like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then right away, I look like I'm an idiot. That's why Ron taught me a long time ago the 3-minute manager, I believe it was.
1 minute.
1 minute manager. Aces in their places. And that's why Ron handles all the technological at the jail, because he can answer the questions like that.
Yeah, well, I would say the latency, we haven't completed testing on it, but 3 to 4 seconds.
Okay. Not too. I don't know the details of the technological stuff either. I'm there for the ride when it comes to investigating.
Aces in their place. But I do appreciate that question. That was a great question. Thank you very much. When every one of your followers came up with that question, and that just solidifies that Ron is a very important guest on these shows. He might not be a paranormal investigator, but his knowledge of the system, it's all him that's doing it. Like you, I can do my lives and this and that, but when it comes to that technological thing, I have no clue. And that's why he is in the position he's in. And that's why he is a partner in this endeavor as well, because he puts in countless man hours at home, at the jail, the installation, the programming and everything else that he is, like Patrick, invaluable to what we're trying to bring out there, just the common person.
Well, I want to just add something.
Thank you for the kind words.
That with the system in place, and when the investigators are coming through, if they catch something like an audible, or they catch something that their cameras don't catch, they can do a timestamp. They send it to Henry. Henry can get a hold of Ron. He can pull that timestamp up on the system, and then that can be relayed back to the investigative team and in a clip or whatever, so they can actually see or hear something that they missed. And I think that's kind of cool. He
puts it in Dropbox. We get the time, because obviously 10 cameras, it's going to be 11 cameras, 8-hour investigation. Every minute is going to be hard to put all into one Dropbox. So we have the investigators write down, okay, what cell at the time the anomaly happened, and Ron's able to go pull it out of the NAS, and it validates or it debunks what's going on. We've had a few instances to where people thought they caught the Shadow Man, but by going back in the system and Ron pulling it up, they realized it was one of their lights and it was a shadow casted by them. It works both ways. It either debunks or validates. And this is a system that you're not going to find in other locations. You might have cameras in those locations, but not at the technological advance that we put into this system.
Yep. And that's one thing that I was going to mention too before we left the show is at 23 minutes and a couple seconds, I wrote it down. I'm going to go back and check it. But when Patrick was walking around, I thought I saw a shadow figure dart across one of the cells as he was walking into it. But it happened so fast that I want to go back and watch it.
Well, I don't know.
Surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. We were doing a podcast with Alex Lovelock out of London, and they actually have a picture. I could send it to you. To where in the window left of my wife, it looks like Nikolai Tesla, you know, with that greasy hair where it kind of comes out on the side in period clothing like this, just listening to what she was saying. And that was caught by, it's kind of like you were saying. So definitely go back and look at that. Because chances are you've seen it. And
Yep.
Yeah.
We've captured some interesting stuff just interviewing people because I know we had Bishop Long on several years ago. And while he was doing
I love that guy.
Yeah, he was doing a presentation for us on demons. And all of a sudden, when he was talking about one specific one he encountered, we had a large growl, a very loud growl come across the. So we've captured a lot of different stuff when we interview people. So.
Yeah.
I love his show. I watch him. He's a great priest, you know, and his affiliation with the paranormal and helping teams out and going out there, you know, at no cost to anybody. It's just him getting in the car and going, you know.
Yep.
I was like, and some of the stuff I've seen, and we all know that, you know, Hollywood tricksters and so forth. But when you get a Catholic priest that's been, you know, given the opportunity by the Pope himself to go do, you know, exorcism, sorry about that. That little girl voice, Henry, just popped out of that doll room. And to see him work was really impressive. I like what he does and goes out there. And it's not Hollywood, man. It's not. It's all live. So yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's been a good friend of the show for since we started. It's just that we don't have him on the show as much as we used to because we changed nights and times, and he does his Bible study Wednesday nights at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
We intend to put K2 meters or whatever kind of ghost hunting tools in the cells in view of the camera. So during
Matt, you want to
virtual
go
ghost
one of those, please?
Yeah. I just heard. Hang on. Soon as Ron
enter. Yeah, but they're on low frequency.
Said that there was a thump upstairs. He said they were putting, and I heard something upstairs.
Instead of batteries, we plug it in.
Okay.
Low voltage.
So we don't.
See, right now we have REM pods
in
in all the cells. When they get energized, they're going to be visual from the camera. Not only will our subscribers at night when no one's there be able to see that in real time, different teams, if their REM pod's going off and that REM pad's going off, that's double validation of what's going on. REM pods are tricky things. You know, when they're going off, there's something going on because they don't just respond to nothing like an EF meter per se. So we made it a point to have these actually specially made to be able to run on low voltage. So this way you're not draining batteries which that's another big thing at that jail. You can bring a boatload of batteries and you're going to use them. I have a hypothesis on that too, that like us, too much voltage would short them out. So that's why they tend to go for batteries or the energy we put off versus trying to stick their spiritual finger in a light socket, because I think that would short them out as well. But that's just a hypothesis. I like to think I bring science to my investigations to where if I can't explain it, I'm really trying hard to debunk stuff on the fly. So that's my hypothesis on that they can't juice into 120 because it's just too much for them to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no real electricity in the jail at all, in the cells. None.
No, there isn't. Even when after the remodeling's done, we're having the lights in the hallway rewired, but the switch for those lights are going to be in the whole other part of the jail where the sheriff house is. So when you go dark 30, you shut the light out and the circuit stops there and doesn't go to the jail at all. So, we've really, I'm kind of glad the renovations have taken this long, and the zoning and getting the permits, because I'm setting this building up from what I will consider myself a paranormal investigator. I'm not an expert by any means, but I come with that mindset as I'm setting the jail up for future investigations, that I'm thinking of everything that I would want in a location to not impede with the investigation. So there's a lot of thought that went into every step of this project, and I'm very proud of it. I really am. I might be overzealous in my thought process of how great this location is, but we've really went out of the way to make it really something special because of the activity that we're getting. I want to be able to share this with more than just paranormal investigators. There's a lot of people out there that generally want to know more about this, but the sensationalism of Hollywood has gotten old.
Yep.
People are becoming less interested and just looking at it as entertainment value versus educational value. So
Yep. No, truly appreciate what you guys are doing there. Before we start going, I will make sure, hold on, we have a couple more questions popping in through the chat, but I will make sure that I share that Facebook page on our Facebook page so our followers can follow you. But real quick, Anton says he applauds you for everything you're doing, and good job, Ron.
Thank you
And then
very
he
much.
also wanted to know that he assumes that everything will be archived for future reference.
Everything at the jail?
Yes.
Yeah, every investigation. Yes, if somebody can't, a subscriber can't watch a live investigation, it will show up maybe a day or two later on the video on demand, so they can go back and watch it.
Okay. And then I know we talked about this a little earlier, but Firewater 4023, I think, just joined us. And can others join?
others join.
Like joining on, like watching, or how can someone come and do an investigation at the jail?
You'll want to reach out to my Facebook page when I'm up and operational. I'll give you my phone number right now. It's 941-909-4393. People could contact me by that number or off of Facebook Messenger. Call. I schedule private investigations. I schedule historical tours, whatever your interest is in the jail. Asking for, I feel, is a small donation for the investigations. As far as the historical tours, I put that on whatever someone wants to donate. But just reach out to me. I'm very approachable. I'm very passionate about this project. So that's how they can get a hold of me.
Yep. And you do respond faster than other people I've reached out to. So I appreciate that.
It's my passion. It really is. I'm a Leo. I take things on full steam ahead. And when the times get tough, instead of running, I just try to figure things out. Like with the commissioners, the jail kind of had a bad taste in people's mouths from the previous owner. Not saying anything bad about them. She did a wonderful job. But as from a city or a city person that lives there standpoint of view, it was somewhere that they just forgot about, covered with weeds and vines. And I think the what we've done to save it historically as well, which paranormal investigating and historical significance kind of goes hand in hand to a true investigator, because you can't have one without the other.
Yep.
So taking the historical side of it as passionately as I have, I think is a credit to the building and a credit to what we're trying to do there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, perfect. I truly appreciate it. Anything else you guys want to add before we get going?
We appreciate your show.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate coming on.
Yeah.
If you ever need a spot to fill, just reach out to me a couple days beforehand, and we'd love to return and talk about the jail and maybe
Perfect.
some other places that we've been to.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
I'd love
well-
to have you on again next year so we can talk about how this program's going and how it's all working for you guys.
Yeah, you'll know when it launches. You'll surely know.
Okay. Sounds good. But I will definitely reach out and get you guys back on again. Love. Thank you, Patrick, for getting your steps in tonight and getting around the jail.
Hey, no problem. I only live I can walk to my house. So it's not near a cemetery or anything. It's just like right there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. But yeah, I'll make sure I get all the information on where they can find your Facebook page and everything moving forward. And as soon as I see that launch for the cameras and the system and everything, I'll make sure I get that on there as well so everybody can check you out.
All right.
Hey, we appreciate any of our subscribers because at the end of the day, they're going to get something. It's better than me asking for GoFundMe. They're getting to personally help out a historical location, and they're getting something in return. Instead of just donating to a museum, they're actually going to get an education along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And every subscriber will be very much appreciated. It's a way you can help out a very historical place and get something in return. And we certainly appreciate any support we can get.
Perfect. Thank you. And everybody out there watching, make sure you guys give them a thumbs up, share them along, and support them once everything gets launched. Definitely, I wish I had a chance to visit when I was in Florida, but I know I will definitely be making a chance to, or have a chance to come back and make sure I do that.
Anytime.
Yep. But thank
Come
you
on
again.
down.
And thank you everybody for watching. This is Ghost Education 101. You can catch us on Facebook every Wednesday night. And you can also catch the replays on YouTube at Ghost Education 101. Make sure to tune in next week. We have special guest Sin Trader Hill to discuss her new book. And again, thank you guys for coming in and talking about the jail. Definitely look
Thank
forward
you very
to having
much.
you again.
Thank you. Y'all keep it
Bye.
paranormal.
Well, take
Have
care.
a great night.